Hey, this is Indy once again. I set a challenge on the Pokemon Creator forums for a battle against anyone, and some guy wanted to use his Uber team, so I allowed him to. Anyway, I start with my Yanmega and he sends out an Arceus. Now, I protect, purely again for the speed boost like usual, and he Hyper Beams. Get the speed boost and therefore will most likely be able to outspeed him. I Hypnosis, which puts him asleep, so he's not much trouble anymore. I go for a Bug Buzz and he switches out. He switches into a Mew, which was not too good on his part, and I hit the Bug Buzz and that takes him out. He then, I think, sends out his Raikou, a shiny one. And yet again, I go for a Protect just to see purely what he's going to throw at me. I was thinking about a Thunderbolt might be coming my way, and he uses Bat. So, I'm a bit confused about that. But anyway, I go for the Bug Buzz, and he switches out again, this time into a Darkrai. Which again, stupid on his part, and that ends up taking him out, and that's 2 pokes taken out purely just because he switched into him. He brings out a Manaphy at this point, also shiny. I think I go for the Bug Buzz, yep. And that does about half of his HP. Oh, just over half. And he goes for a Bubble. Now, that's 2 moves that I wouldn't think you'd put on a competitive team. So I take it he was just doing this to show him off. And he ends up fleeing. Which I don't see why not, because he was getting pretty dumb. I don't know if he fled intentionally or he done it by accident, but I decided to ask him if he wanted another battle, and he did. We sent out the same pokes yet again. I started off with Yanmega, and he brought out his Arceus. Again, I go for the Protect, purely to get a speed boost, but this time, he's cleverer, and he uses Future Sight. So, somewhere along the line, I'm gonna get attacked. I go for the Hypnosis again, and this time it misses, which sucks. And he Hyper Beams me, which finishes off my Yanmega. Now, I sent out my Weavile. There's not much else that would do much to him. I Brick Breaked, and I knew he had to recharge, so it was a free hit anyway. I took the Future Sight. I didn't think I would take that, as I'm Dark type and it's Psychic, but I did. It didn't do that bad. I suppose it did quite a bit, but I survived, which is fine, and I took him out with the next Brick Break. He sends out a Jirachi, shiny again, and I decided to Night Slash as it's probably the best move that I could have used. Even though it's Steel type as well, it's still done enough damage to do something good. And he used Confusion, which again, I'm Dark, so it wouldn't do anything, and it's not a very competitive move. I go for a Dark Slash again, and luckily for me, he switches out into his Mew. So that takes me him out. But I also get taken out by my Life Orb. Anyway, I didn't know what he was going to send out next. Obviously, he ends up sending out his Raikou, and I sent out my Togekiss. So, not a good move on my part. Anyway, I switched out into my Donphan, plan, presuming he was going to hit me with an electric type move, and yet again he uses bite. Anyway, I didn't know whether he was going to switch. Thought he might. I think I still go for the earthquake anyway. He ends up switching, and the earthquake hits his Darkrai, which didn't really do anything. Didn't really affect my poke. Anyway, that was pretty good amount of damage. I was thinking whether to go for the earthquake again. Went for Ice Shard just to get the first move, and the Quick Claw worked, so I could have gone for that earthquake. But the Ice Shard done enough anyway. He uses Nightmare, which done nothing as I'm not asleep. He withdraws the Darkrai and brings his Raikou back out, and I go for the Ice Shard again. He hits me with a Leer, and I hit an earthquake, and that finishes that off. So that poke was pretty useless to him. Didn't do anything at all really. He then brings out his Manaphy. I thought that might be a bit dangerous. I hadn't seen a move on it yet. So I go for the Thunder Fang, get a Quick Claw. So that was pretty good. Does just under half of his HP, and he hits me with a Bubble. Again, not a very competitive move. Anyway, thought I'd go for the Thunder Fang again, and he uses Water Sport, which weakens fire moves. Yet I wouldn't really use any fire moves on him, unless he was planning to switch into his Jirachi, which would be okay, I guess. He does switch into his Jirachi, and then that takes the next Thunder Fang. So a good move on his part, but I hadn't got a fire move to use on him anyway. I go for the Ice Shard. Now I didn't think about the Steel, so it didn't do too much, but then he used Confusion, which didn't do that much to me either. I go for the Ice Shard again, just to get the first hit. It would definitely have taken him out, and he switches back into his Darkrai. The Ice Shard hits this, and that faints instead. He then brings his Jirachi back out, and again I just go with the Ice Shard, purely first hit, and I knew it would take him out. Again, he sends out his last poke, his Manaphy, and I knew he would probably throw a Bubble at me again, and that wasn't going to do too much. So I went for the T-Fang. That ends up finishing the Manaphy off, and that was the end of the battle. Thanks for watching yet again. Rate, subscribe, comment. Done.